That was cool. I did that looking into the sun. How's everybody doing? Awesome, thank you so much. What you just heard is the sound made by the American-style bull whip. And before I start the show, I always like to take a couple of moments to explain why the whip makes this super cool sound, so you'll have a better appreciation for some of the daring stunts that you're going to witness during our time together. But in order for me to do this and to make it super cool, I need a super brave young lady to help me out. Super brave young lady to help me out. Oh look, a whole row of young ladies. Who's it going to be? Hold on, we'll let the audience decide. By round of applause. Is it this one? Is it this one? This one? This one? This one? Wait a minute. This one? Come on up, give her a big round of applause. Here she comes. Yay! Come on up here, come on up here. How you doing? Yeah, we'll see. Okay. So what's your name? Geneva, so nice to meet you, Geneva. Geneva, so nice of your friends to encourage you to come up here, Geneva. So Geneva, I'm curious if you ever wondered why the whip makes that super cool noise? Yeah? Oh, sure. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a moment to explain why the whip makes this sound. And then Geneva, you and I together are going to do a super cool death-defying stunt right here in front of your friends and this entire audience. Does that sound awesome? Yeah, does it sound awesome? Yeah. They're like, sure, I don't want to be up there. That's cool. Take her. Okay, cool. So Geneva, a lot of people think that the whip is making this noise for a couple of reasons, which are actually misconceptions. Misconception number one. Well, you know, it's probably just hitting something, like the ground. And if you all watch closely, you will notice the whip does come up, come down, and make contact with the ground. But if you also watch closely, you'll notice I can also crack the whip here. Right over there is the daring Geneva's head. Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Yeah. But I didn't hit you though, did I? No, you know why I didn't hit you? Because I'm getting better at that part of the show, Geneva. Yeah. So Geneva, you and I have established with the audience that the whip is in fact not hitting anything around us. But by now you guys have noticed these whips are very flexible. They bend and they curl a whole bunch. Well, some people assume that the whip's not hitting something, like the ground, or hitting Geneva. They're thinking, well, which would actually make a whole different sound. They're thinking perhaps the whip's just curling up and hitting itself, making a big slapping sound. But that's not the reason it makes that noise either. Folks, the real reason the whip makes this super cool sound is because the end of this whip is traveling nearly 900 miles per hour. That's right, what you're hearing is the very first man-made tool that can actually break the speed of sound. That is not a Hollywood sound effect, it's actually a sonic boom. Now, I know that's hard to visualize, so I'll put it to everybody this way. Whenever you hear this, the end of that whip is traveling faster than most bullets leaving the barrel of a gun, making them potentially lethal weapons as they can slice your skin and crush small bones if they were ever to come in contact with an animal or my first volunteer, Geneva. This is where you come in. Yes. Come here, Geneva. We're going to have you stand right here. We're going to have you face the audience. Then, Geneva, I'm going to have you simply put your hands up in the air. Fantastic. Here's what's going to happen, Geneva. I'm going to take a whip and I'm going to crack it right here around your belly, showing the audience that even though these whips are potentially lethal weapons in the hands of an expert or even myself, you can bring a whip across a person's body without leaving a single mark. Sure, maybe 2 or 3 marks, but never a single mark. So, Geneva, before we attempt this daring trick, have you ever wanted to be in show business? No. Oh, well, I don't know why you volunteered to come up here then. Okay. So, Geneva, these are 2 show business rules. Super simple. Rule number 1, just face the audience. So far, so good. Rule number 2, smile. No matter what happens. Awesome. So, Geneva, how old are you? 12 years old. Give her a 12-year-old big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's cool. She's 12. In my hand, ladies and gentlemen, I hold the official whip guy. Oh, you're 13? 13. Oh, an unlucky number. Whoops. Yeah. Well, now that you've turned 13, this changes everything, Divina. This in my hand is the official Whip guy, 12 and under whip. I'm going to go back and get the 13-year-old and over whip. It's bigger. Geneva. Sorry, I feel loud. Put your hands in the air. Face the audience. Smile no matter what happens. She's smiling? Really? Okay. If it were me, I would have been running. Okay. Geneva, we're going to try this. It's going to be super cool. Here we go. We're going to do this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. She's still smiling? Folks, give her a big round of applause. The amazing Geneva. And she takes a bow. And she goes back to her straw bale. Give her a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Yay. Now, believe it or not, as cool as that looks, these whips were never meant or designed to be wrapped around girls named Geneva. They were never meant to touch anything at all. The sole purpose of a whip is this and this alone. Making that noise. And it was that noise that cattlemen throughout the globe would use to move animals from one place to another. But eventually, those folks using the whips realized that the ends of those whips were actually really useful tools, capable of pushing and pulling and cutting and slicing, fanning, and doing all sorts of other things that they were never really intended to do. Legend tells stories that some guys were so precise with the whip that they could actually see a horse fly or a deer fly on the ear of another animal, such as the bull, and before it had a chance to bite, they'd take that whip and flick it off without even touching this animal's skin. Now, eventually those skills were adopted by people like me, performers and entertainers. And you would see these sort of tricks in vaudeville shows and circuses and in rodeos, and eventually in television and movies. So what I want to do now is I want to share some of these tricks with you. Tricks that you can go home later on and try with a younger brother or sister. Ladies and gentlemen, I need a young fella to help me out. A super brave young fella, not you. I'm kidding. You, come on up here. Give him a big round of applause. Here he comes. This young, gullible kid. What's your name? Hi, Riker. Nice to see you. Riker, stand right here. In just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, I will have Riker put his hands out to the sides. But right now, I just want you to take one good look at his face. Memorize it for what it is. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay. 2 for flinching, Riker. Riker, are your parents in the audience? Perfect. Okay. Riker, please put your hands out to the side. Hold on to this flower right there. Perfect. And one right there. Ladies and gentlemen, for your enjoyment, here's what's supposed to happen. I will attempt to cut these flowers out of Riker's hands. Riker, listen up. I'm going to start over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to try to hit the flower. And the orange flowery part, Riker, if I get over here in the tan fleshy part, let me know. Riker, how old are you? Ladies and gentlemen, Riker is 11 years old. Give him an 11-year-old big round of applause there. The reason I ask is age. I'm going to attempt something that has never before been attempted today at my 2:45 show. I will attempt to cut this flower in the remaining stem one time for every year that Riker's been alive. A total, ladies and gentlemen, of 11 times. My record's 3. We're going to see how this goes. Actually, Riker, I'm kidding. We're only going to do each one time, but here's the important part of the show. Riker, do not move. If you move, I can miss, and if I miss, you know what's going to happen. I'll look bad in front of all these people. And you'll look different. Here we go, Riker. Straight ahead, boy. Here we go. Riker, I forgot to tell you. First one's just a warm-up. Oh, Riker, hang on a second. I forgot something. Sorry, folks. This will help. How you guys doing back there? Straight ahead. There we go. Ladies gentlemen, give it up for the amazing Riker! Back to your seat. Give him one more big round of applause. Good job, Riker. Now, I don't want you guys to think I would ever ask Riker to do something that I was not willing to do myself, because that's not cool. So I need to know by a big round of applause, should I cut this flower out of my own hands this time? What do you guys think? Yeah! All right, I'm going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, prepare to be amazed. Later on in the show. Thank you. All right, I know you guys are thinking that was pretty long, so I'm going to try it this time with a shorter one. Remember, though, the shorter it is, the closer it is to the skin, the more dangerous it becomes, and this time I'm going to make it even more dangerous. How so? This time, I'm going to try it with my eyes closed. I know, right? And as if that weren't crazy enough, not only will I close my eyes, I'm going to quadruple the danger level for you folks. That's right, that's 4 times as dangerous. How so? Well, I'll tell you how. Not only am I going to close my eyes, but I am also going to turn my body a full 180 degrees.
Okay, you're up.
That's right. My eyes are still closed.
No, they're not.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put it right here. Thank you. The man who showed me this next trick only had one left arm. It's true. I call it the all-in-one because I have a whip in one hand and a target strategically placed in the very same hand. So close. So close. We'll try it one more time. Thank you. So I started cracking whips when I was 13 years old. All because when I was 11, my mom took me to see a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes, indeed. My all-time favorite film. And all I wanted was a whip. So about 2 years later, we were at the stockyard here in Springfield. And I found it, my very first whip. 6 feet long, black and white, rawhide whip. And it was only gonna cost me $2. So I bought it and I went home, and within half an hour, I had $2 worth of welts from my head to my feet. But eventually I got pretty good with it. About a year later, I got an 8-foot swivel handle bullet that only cost me $35. I could do even more. But it wasn't until I was 21. That's when everything changed, because when I was 21, I found the man who made all the whips for the Indiana Jones films. His name was David Morgan. He lived in Washington State, right outside of Bothell. So I called him long distance on the phone. I said, Mr. Morgan, I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, and I would love to have one of your whips. Would you make one for me? He said, yes, I will. Folks, it was going to be the whip of my dreams. Just like the ones you saw in the movie, it was going to be 10 feet long, and it was going to be made entirely of kangaroo hide leather, the strongest leather in the world for its weight and size. And it was only going to cost me $458. That was a lot of money. But I went ahead, and I got it. And then, everything changed. Since then, I've actually won 3 world championship titles in whip cracking, and I've gotten to the Guinness Book of World Records twice because I cracked this whip right here 222 times in 1 minute. Thank you. It was so cool. Big crowd just like this. As soon as I was done, though, as soon as everyone was done applauding,
Mommy.
this man, strange man from the back, came, he made his way up to me, reached into his pocket, handed me a business card. For a second, I thought, oh man, he's probably some hotshot reporter, and he's going to write me up in the newspaper, or going to do an interview or something. That's cool. Or maybe he's a Hollywood talent scout. That'd be really super cool. Turns out, when I read the card, he was a surgeon who specialized in rotator cuff surgery. Also super cool. Playing the long game. Knew I'd call him in about 5 years. Now that being said, this whip is very specific. It had to be 6 feet from the button of the handle down here, all the way to the point. This is the point. That's where the braiding stops. This portion here, called the fall, that had to be 30 inches minimum. And this little part right there, that's the popper of the cracker. That's the part that makes that great big noise. This had to be a minimum of 6 inches. The handle, this portion being known as the thong, the flexible portion here, the handle had to be 12 inches in length minimum. And at the handle thong connection where these two pieces meet, this had to be an inch, give or take an eighth of an inch. Now, there was a very specific crack that I had to use. It was an advanced crack. It was called the volley, and it looks like this. I'll do it very slowly. At the time of the record, it was 4 cracks per second. It was very, very fast. Now, when you guys go home later on today, and you want to learn how to crack a whip, and you want to learn how to do some of these tricks, these are the 3 cracks that you'll have to learn. Now, as a kid, I didn't know these all had names. We just called them what we wanted to call them. We called this a cowboy crack. But in a competition where you were scored on a point system between 1 and 20, this would be like a 1, maybe a 2. And it was called the cattleman's crack horizontal because it goes horizontally over the head. Now this one, we call that the lion tamer's crack, the circus crack, or, hey, mom wants you to do your chores crack. It was also known as the cattleman's crack vertical. And this one, well, that's called a flick. So that's pretty cool. Then what you had to do is you had to learn how to do them one way, but then you had to learn how to do them the opposite way. And once you learned how to do them both, then you learned how to put them together, and it became a whole new crack. And it looked like this, and because of that, they called it the figure 8. So what I want to do now is I want to do a little combo for you, the figure 8, the fast figure 8, with a little flick and a flash on the end. So here we go. You're going to notice a little rhythm. And it sounds pretty cool, right? So, let's take those and put them all together and make something neat. I probably didn't tell you this earlier. I love to play music. So I'm going to play a song for everybody. It's a song that everybody knows. You may not know the name of the song, you may not know who wrote it, but you probably know the melody. It sounds like this. Ba, 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 ba. Do you guys all know that song? Cool. The Blue Dandy Waltz, written by Johann Strauss. For your enjoyment here in Conservation World, I will attempt to play this song using nothing more than these 2 super cool Australian stock whips and this super awesome kazoo. Because nothing says high dollar entertainment like whips and kazoos. Thank you. Ridiculous. So these are Australian stock whips. They did them from Australia. A man named Russell Schultz made these for me. They're made of cane handles with a half plat overlay, which means half of that handle has leather on it. And it's plaited, which means braided. They're 3.5 feet long, which you're going to notice they're actually a lot longer than I am tall. That's because unlike a bullwhip, which is measured from the butt all the way down to the point, the only part you measure there is this flexible portion known as the thong. Now the handle can be anywhere 10 to 20 inches depending upon what you wanted, and the fall and the cracker are up to the discretion of the user. And I'm telling you this because what I want to do now is I want to do something I love doing. This is the parlor trick portion of the show. It's known as a parlor trick because this next stunt would have been attempted in a saloon or bar room or a parlor room, mainly because the pieces that you would need to attempt this trick would have been found in any one of those rooms. And those pieces were this: a small glass, known as a shot glass, and a larger glass, known as a tumbler, filled with the whipped cracker's favorite drink. For today's show, I'm going to use this Dixie cup. And this tin cup filled with lukewarm water that I acquired right here on the grounds of Conservation Road. So you know it's the good stuff. Now at this point, the whipped cracker would have made its way to a nearby table. I'm going to walk over to this trunk. After having taken a quick drink, the whipped cracker would have set the shot glass on the table. The tumbler on top of the shot glass. So far, so good. But this is where the whipped cracker could have made a little extra money. He could have placed a bet with somebody in that saloon or the parlor room that with his whip, maybe 8 or 10 feet long, he could knock that shot glass out from underneath that tumbler, let it drop on the table without spilling his drink. For your enjoyment, I'll recreate this stunt. And we'll make it more challenging. I'm going to do that by not using a whip that's 8 or 10 feet long. In fact, this whip isn't even 18 or 20 feet long. Folks, this whip is so long, it actually has a name. We call her Big Mama. I call her that because she's nearly 30 feet of whip cracking fun. Now, the sheer length of this whip alone makes this a nearly impossible shot. So if I miss it the first time, I will try it again. I do not want you guys to go home disappointed. Now, occasionally, if the whip cracker was a betting man, to raise the odds, he would miss the first time to make it look even more harder than it really was. This could have been one of those times. Thank you so much. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So far, I'm not done yet. Oh, you really clap? Oh, you don't. Wow. Very kind. Thank you. I see that you're wearing a watch. Awesome. You want to be part of the show?
Yeah.
You want to be part of the show? Come on up here. Give her a big round of applause. Here she comes, folks. What's your name? Hi, Sandy. Great to see you. Thank you, Sandy. Sandy, I'm hoping that for this next routine, you will take a look at your watch and tell everyone here in the audience what the time is right now. 3:10. You sure? 3:10. Ladies and gentlemen, making her debut here in Conservation World at the 2024 Illinois State Fair. I want you guys to give her a huge round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the amazing time-telling Sandy! As she makes her way back to her seat. Thanks, Sandy. That's all I needed. Yeah, that's fine. I just need to know what time it was. I'm sure I built it up to more than it should have been. Okay, so. Well, Sandy, I could not have done this without you.
I know. I heard that.
Oh, nice. It's true. We're going to call this leave-in on the 310. An old routine that harkens back to the days of the old steam locomotive as it pulled out of the station, revving up to full speed ahead. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. It's one of my favorite routines to do. And you can catch me back here at 4:45. We'll mix it up a little bit. And you can also find me on Facebook. You can find me at thewhipguy.com. You can check me out on Instagram and check out all 7 photos that I've uploaded over the last 6 years. Here we go. very much. Great to see you guys. Have fun. I'll see you guys next time.